Hi everybody, this is Dr. Rich. I just want to give you some information today on this video about how we handle challenges and how we need to grow our abilities as challenges increase. What I have on this diagram here is an XY axis which will help demonstrate what I want to help you learn a little bit about today. So ideally what happens is you have your abilities, and then based on the challenges that happen in your life, a lot of times we need new abilities. Sometimes we have to increase our education. So here's an example of what would happen. So let's say, for example, in an ideal world, as the challenges increase in your life, your abilities will increase. So let's just say, for example, you ended up with a new job because you ended up with a promotion and the challenges have increased. And so therefore, you may need some more education. You may need some more on-the-job training. You may need to enhance your abilities to handle these challenges. So what happens when it doesn't work right? Well, that's what we do. We help people achieve their full potential by helping them to understand that in this case, as the challenges will increase from low to high, if the abilities do not increase correspondingly, then you'll stay in this vein and you'll fall underneath this type of curve, which will suggest as the challenges rose, that the abilities stayed the same. And so therefore, you're probably not going to do very well in that new job or that promotion. And what happens even further is if the challenges increase more and your abilities stay the same, then the curve starts to look a little bit differently. And you start to move into what we call the danger zone over here, where you're out of balance. Now subsequently, what happens is when all of a sudden you have the challenges stay low, perhaps they started to increase a little bit, but you became smarter. Maybe you went and achieved a bachelor's degree, or you had some more advanced education. You started reading those 10 books a year and started changing your philosophies and your knowledge. And so what happens is your abilities increase from low to high. Then all of a sudden, if the challenges stay the same, this curve starts to look this way and goes across, and you have this gap, this difference, much like you had over here, the disparities between what's optimal and now what's problematic. And let's say, for example, you increase your abilities even more as you go down the line, and you were able to get more education. You've been in the same job for 2 or 3 years, your abilities have increased, but they didn't give you a new job. So what happens over here is now this curve starts to look like that. And so we start to see how we can map your success and your progress based on how challenges have occurred in your life or even in your business, and your abilities or the business talent that you have didn't increase. Ideally, what we realize is that there's going to be some reaction time. That what's going to happen as challenges increase, there may be a delay in how fast you can respond to be optimal. So you may see some cycling in this area. But that's okay, that's normal, because as challenges increase, you realize through self-reflection, self-assessment, that you need to learn some new skills and ideas. So you get that, and then you start to realign again. Now what happens all too often is that if you don't realize you need help, then you start falling into this area here far too often, and you're struggling because as the challenges are rising, your abilities are staying about the same. This is where I can work with you as a mentor, as a coach, to help you understand how to correct yourself through techniques that we have to help you to move into a better understanding of how you can be more successful. Maybe just by reading books, it may be by going to another class, it may be by hanging around with a new organization that's ready to have you come work for them. And again, of course, if you go too far and you're over here, or consequently over here, that's problematic. What we have found through this type of experimentation and understanding is that if you start to fall in these kind of categories where your abilities are increasing but the challenges are staying low, is that people get bored over here. They're bored with their job. They want to go do something different. Perhaps maybe it's an entrepreneur person who's in an organization that's not challenging them very much, but yet they're getting smarter because they're reading. They're like Club Asteria members where they're actually growing and prospering, and so therefore they're becoming bored as they get into these areas over here because they're not being challenged enough. So as we use this model of looking at how abilities and challenges relate to one another, I just wanted to have this video as a short example, as an educational opportunity for you today. So I hope this was helpful from Dr. Rich's Tips.